Retro anime. How did we find it? How does it hold up? Unpacking the ins and outs of being an old school nerd and proving that 80s kids can't remember a damn thing right. These are the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd.
Welcome to Mindless Midlife Musings of the Anime Nerd. I'm Rick, and I'm joined by the rest of our panel, Vic, Brian, and Lynette. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
In this episode, we take a trip into the dark world of the Eastern occult, demons, gods, and the undead. Today, we're talking 3x3 Eyes. 3x3 Eyes is a two-part OVA series based on the Japanese manga written and illustrated by Yuzo Takada, released in 1991 and 1995 respectively, and covering the storyline up to about volume 5 of the manga. The series was produced by Toei Animation and its subsidiary Studio Junyo. The first OVA released 4 episodes between July 91 and May 92, where the second OVA, titled 3x3 Eyes Legend of the Divine Demon, continues the story with a total of 3 episodes released between July 95 and June 96. So the first OVA was originally dubbed and distributed by Streamline Pictures. Everybody who grew up in our era, they remember Streamline. They dubbed mostly everything back then. And the second OVA was originally dubbed and distributed by Manga, which is kind of like an evolution of Streamline. That's neither here nor there. So in 2001, the 2 OVAs were re-released in the US by Pioneer, who of course decided to do an all-new English dub. And that gets us to today, where we have all recently re-experienced 3x3 Eyes.
Well, mostly at least.
And I think the first thing I gotta ask is it 3x3 Eyes? Or is it 3 times 3 eyes? Or is it 3x 3 eyes?
You know what? I don't know.
I've been calling it 3x3 Eyes since 1990, whatever. And I don't know. So I could be saying it wrong this entire episode.
So here's my problem. You would think 3x3 eyes, you're going to see multiple eyes. But you only saw one set of 3x3 eyes. Everybody else had 2.
Oh, no, there was a giant statue that had a third.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but nobody living.
There was no living object with a third eye, yes, I know.
Nobody living. Why do they call it 3x3 eyes? They could have called the whole series Triclops. And just, let's go get our life.
Well, we don't know because we never read the manga.
Right, and I had no intention of, like Brian says, doing the homework on this one. Just want to revisit the anime.
Lynette?
Yes.
This was your choice.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we should let her tell us her thoughts.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. If you're
I don't
awesome,
want-
I'll remember this when you come and visit. It'll be okay.
I'm sorry. I've already got a marriage proposal. So
Nice.
So, yeah, I watched it in both the dub and the sub.
Bravo.
And I have to say that the dub reminded me why I don't watch the dubs anymore. Episode 3 of season 1, I wanted to smack Pie just because I couldn't stand her voice.
Yeah, and that is an understandable reaction.
You know, and you know it's bad when you're like, I don't want the hero to win. Just have her stop talking, and we'll be fine.
And because it was a streamlined dub, it's worth noting that the English voice for Pi was Rebecca Forstad, who played Lin Min Mei in Robotech. So
So she went from really, really good to I want you to die.
So she so as much as I love Rebecca, she's a very sweet woman. There's some characters that her voice does not belong with, and there you go. And then Eddie Frierson, he was Yakumo in the streamlined dub, and he was Lin Kyle from Robotech, as well as Ken from Street Fighter 2 movie that we watched for the last episode. So it's the same voice actor there for the English dub.
Was Yakumo?
Yakumo, yeah. It was Yakumo.
Hold on, Yakumo is Ken?
Yakumo is Ken.
Yakumo is Ken.
Yeah.
Let that sink in for a bit.
I wish you had never told me that. I wish you had never told me that.
Yakumo did not throw a single shoryuken in the show at all.
You could have said he was in Bison. Nobody would have checked you. Why did you do that to me?
No.
I
This is Tech Age.
had
Everyone
to.
will check every single thing you say, even when we're wrong or even when we're right. They'll
Had
still
to,
check it.
yeah. So yeah, it's obviously originally 1992 when this came out, 1991 when this was released over here. Or it was 92 actually. It's from my own intro. 92 when it came out. I actually talked to a friend of ours, Diego, I asked him because I didn't remember. He's like, "Dude, how the hell did we find 3 by 3 Eyes?" And he's like, "Well, you found it." And so, "Oh, great, so it's my fault." So apparently I'd found it at the Suncoast Motion Picture Company up in Dadeland Mall and purchased the first VHS, and that therein lies everybody's pain here.
And it was a streamlined dub.
Is that what we're going with? We've experienced pain.
I don't know. Have we? All right.
If you watch it in the dub, it's pain. Like, you can't really focus on the plot. You can't. I found myself having to rewind the dub because I lost track. Because every time Pi spoke, I kind of like blacked out and I didn't remember any part of the episode. it was bad.
Okay,
Sub
no
was
lie. Agree. No lie. I love 3 by 3 Eyes for a lot of reasons. The dub is not one of them. But everything, like, I like the concept of the story. I like the character designs, except for, which is what I was going to bring up earlier, the elephant in the room. What the is up with Yakumo's eyes? I am so dumbfounded by this. Was Yuzo being racist or not? And why just Yakumo? Like, if you're gonna draw an Asian character and you decide, well, this is what I'm doing, but then he's the only dude in all 7 episodes that has this going on.
Oh yeah, the ever smiling eyes. That's all it is the
Yeah.
smiling eyes.
Look,
He's a walking emoji. I get it, but I just and when he's surprised, and then at first when I first saw this, I thought, okay, this is just it's a creative choice. His eyes are always going to be like that. Okay, it's just it's a creative thing. But then when he's like shocked, his eyes open, and I'm like, okay, what is going on? So I did not research this in any. I can't even imagine somebody asked the question. But as an American watching that, even back then, it was a little uncomfortable. I'm like, is he stereotyping his own people? Like, what is he doing? It oddly uncomfortable.
I remember there was this whole it was kind of like a PSA. And the PSA was telling us, we used to see it in some of the beginning of some of the episodes that we were watching, and it was talking about eye structure around anime, right? And it was talking about why did they draw them with big doughy eyes as opposed to little slits. And they said that they figured that the little slits were considered to be sinister. So the smaller your eyes, the more evil you were.
So Yakumo's the devil.
Exactly.
Well, no, it's really weird because, granted, I'm drawing a total blank on it, but there have been quite a few series where both good guys, bad guys, and people in between have, just the eyes like that, and it's been that way. So I think there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just a creative choice.
Yeah, no, and it's just such a startling one. I don't know, from a consistency it's like an OCD trigger. I'm like, well, hold up, how are you drawing your eyes in this show? I don't know. It's just a thing for me. It always confused me, and it still confuses me to this day.
So we're going to go ahead and talk about body parts now. That's the portion of the hour that we're on right now. Body parts.
You have something to contribute.
I have.
Brian, this is not a hentai episode. Get over it.
No, it's not a hentai episode. But I ran into the first I did not want to see. I was like, what? These
Oh, you mean the doll? The
Yes,
doll
yes,
that
yes, he
had
means the doll. All
look,
right.
look,
the
that
one that you
look,
could totally tell they drew it to the point where you knew it was a female?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Episode 5. This
uh,
thing, the real doll from hell. Uh,
Yes.
like I was like, my first thought was with that wooden camera toe is first splinters. I mean, I
I was
was
wondering
like,
who was gonna say because I wasn't. I'm not
oh,
sure.
we were. There was no way we were not going to talk about this
look,
character.
look, it was so traumatic for me. I actually called Rick earlier this week and said,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. And honestly, I agree. Like, why? Again, creatively, Yuzo, bro, come on, man. Like, what are you doing, man?
They look so. The word I could only think about is angry. The
Okay,
the the.
but there weren't like what were they? Were they flesh? Were those were as far as animation is concerned, those were fleshy on wood. That was
That's
weird.
how.
I'm so glad I didn't bring this up.
Oh, I no
Thank
no.
you,
When
Brian,
she
for opening the
that
door.
so the end of that episode, probably the creepiest episode in my opinion, when all these dolls are doing the evil doll thing, and we're talking about this show is filled with weird, but that
What?
one was creepy. It creeped me out.
I needed to set her room on fire with all those dolls. She woke up from the dream and all these dolls. I was like, no, you need to set your room on fire.
Yes,
I don't know why.
bye. Nope. Just live in a tent. Just no.
Oh my gosh! Can
Oh,
I, all right, I gotta. So the way they drew it was they gave her hips,
yeah,
and then the hips had like little where the ball sockets would be. Like
yeah,
if she was like a GI Joe,
absolutely.
had a ball
Yeah, full
sockets,
range of posability on that action figure.
and then they went down, curved in, and then concaved up. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I
Wow!
don't.
Why did they do that choice? Why did they gave it a thigh gap and then it was no.
The animators are probably like, let's see if we can get away with this without censorship.
Right? No,
And obviously they did.
it's like it was an attempt to make you as uncomfortable as possible because the dolls weren't uncomfortable enough as it was. We had to have the doll at the top of the tree in her full dress being like, and then stripping because of course.
Of course.
But then all right, so
Hey, some people are into that. Like Brian.
No. Look, no. I'm gonna tell you now. No, I'm not. I stated the first thing I said. The first I did not want to see.
Oh
And,
man.
and, and you're so right. Fleshy on wood. Who does that?
I don't know. Yeah, it was. It's if Yuzo was going for unsettling, nailed it. Yeah, it was.
That whole
Yeah,
episode was
very unsettling.
Yeah.
I think probably, and I know that it's weird to jump ahead like this, but I think that's probably also one of my favorite episodes because also at the same time as being as horrifying as it was, we finally got to see Yakumo be a bad,
Yes.
and I was like, yeah, finally, because the other Wu, what was his name? Benamas?
Yeah.
What Benar? Dude, he was awesome. He was like a Kuma, and I'm over here like, come on, Yakumo, that Wu's got everything. What are you doing? You gotta bring something. No, nope, just heart. That's all he had. The whole first 4 episodes,
And blood. Heart
and lots
blood.
and lots of blood.
Which is why they can't make. That's why they can't make this a live action movie, 3 by 3 eyes. Because first of all, who's going to be the wood doll? They're probably
It'll
going
be
to get
computer
Tilda
generated.
They're probably going to get the girl who played the ancient one in Doctor Strange, Tilda Swanson. They'll probably get her.
Man, yeah. So this show.
You started it off right when you said this show started off with weird, and it just went from there.
Yeah.
The first job you see Yakumo have is a crossdresser.
Dude, yes.
There is no explanation for why he chose this profession.
and
There's
and
not.
that that is absolutely I can well, I can't say 100%, but I feel like it probably was my first exposure to transvestite or cross-dressing in any format. Because I had never seen like Tootsie or anything like that. This might have been the first time. That's what I was talking about before in one of our previous episodes. How Japanese anime wasn't afraid to introduce their audiences to everything. And I feel like we grew up being far more accepting of things because of it. Right? Like
Mhm.
in this one, you had cross dressing, you've had gay characters introduced in things like Bubblegum Crisis and Macross 2 and um, intersex relationships, interracial relationships, all of that stuff came in anime to us before I ever saw that on NBC.
Right?
And I,
But now they did it. They did it slick in Three by Three Eyes. They said, "Well, she is from Tibet and he's from Japan," and we would think here in America, hey, what's the problem? There's a problem. There's a problem.
so yeah, I respect the hell out of anime for taking risks. And this came out at a time in 1992, and when this came out, anime was still doing its let's get the most hardcore we possibly can and release it. And most of the studios were going down that dark occult path. Like we had like Wicked City, Demon City came out. You know, like everybody was they were pulling in the occult stuff pretty hard. So this landed right around that time when I don't want to call it the occult craze, but there was a whole lot of that going on. And it was great. It was so cool because it's like I don't know, being exposed to the mythologies of another culture has always been fascinating to me. But to really, this was my first introduction to the fact that the Japanese have more ways to kill you in their mythology than any other culture. I think it was after this I found out they even have a toilet demon. Like they have a monster for everything you could possibly imagine.
And those monsters have monsters.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, what Takuhi? Like in the first episode, Takuhi like just decimates Yakumo.
Oh yeah.
I was jaw dropped. Like, first of all, what the fuck is this monstrous faced bird? And
No, human face monstrous bird. That's
right,
better.
you clear it up. But then also in the second episode with Natsuko and the frog demon guy.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
That frog demon me up. It's not
How that girl is still alive is a big
right.
question,
Like
too.
How?
tentacles all up under her skin and blood's like spurting out of her like she was in a trauma movie. Like it was.
She
It was
lost like 90 gallons of blood, and then once they excised the demon, she was okay.
She had like tentacles coming out of her feet. Her
like
foot
yeah, like
still had a
all
sock
up
on
under
it.
this
And-
dude. That episode creeped me the hell out because all up the tentacles are all under the skin and shit. This was before the mummy and the scarab thing. This was no, it messed me up.
So can I talk about my number one my pet peeve about it?
No, not
Please
whatsoever.
do. I'm dying to hear it.
It takes so long. You remember how we were talking about in Street Fighter how they were just wasting time doing right?
Mm-hmm.
The end battle of episode 3 when they're in the temple and she's on the
Oh, yeah.
statue looking at Cayenne Wayne, who we never see. He never comes back. Cayenne Wayne never comes back.
Right.
She turned around and she is looking at a home dude for like 15 minutes. With Yakumo once again running, trying to come and protect her. Those two looking just for the episode to end, and you're like, okay, we're gonna come back and see what happens. No, they're a completely different episode. Completely different.
I mean, admittedly, narratively, I don't want to say they shit the bed, but narratively they drop the ball. It's not so much the bed as drop the ball. Like
But there were 3 eyes. They should have saw the ball.
I think it probably had to do more with the fact that this was two completely separate series, right? Yeah, the first four parts were one thing, and then the second three parts were a whole other thing. So, and it feels like they kind of just said, "Well, let's do our," because even the animation style changed, right? Like Pi looked very different in the sequel episodes than she did in the
Okay, so
first one.
I wasn't losing my mind. I was like, didn't she
No.
have brown hair? Why does she have
Right,
black
like
hair
she
now?
changed visually. They changed a few things. So it could just be that narratively they didn't have time to flesh things out, and their show ended, and then the next one's like, well, we're gonna pick this up right where it left off as best we can. How about we jump ahead like a year or two, or however long it was.
Yeah, it was 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
And you,
So we're gonna pick this right up and keep moving. Let's jump ahead 4 years. Like, hey, but that's what they did. So I think that hurt the show narratively. You guys argue the point if you like.
Oh no,
That's probably what it is, right? Like
I
I
don't, I
feel
don't,
like
I don't think I'm gonna argue many points against. It happened there. It happened narratively. Sure,
sure.
sure. Yakumo.
I kind of wish that 4 year jump would have happened season one, episode two. Like it would have been nice to, just because you spent so much time watching Yakumo, like just try and figure out who the hell he is. And that's, I mean, like, I wrote the note, Yakumo, reluctant hero or shitty ass woo? You tell me. Because the first four episodes,
terrible. He's a terrible
like, he's
blue.
You say
terrible.
He was borderline useless.
no. You're using the
Yeah.
word woo.
Well, I mean, he
What's a
was
woo?
cannon fodder. So I
He's a
mean,
meat shield. So the woo. So when Yakumo dies in the very first episode, thanks to Takuhi's overeager hug, Pai absorbs his soul and gives him the sign of the woo, that little 10 symbol on his head. And that means he is now undead and his soul is tied to the character Pai, or the Sanjian, which is something I want to talk about in a minute. So he's undead, hence the massive amounts of blood loss and healing stuff. But he's really bad at being an undead warrior, especially when you've got to compare him to somebody like Benares, who is Cayenne Wang's undead warrior.
that dude snaps a finger and things just go.
Seriously. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. I go with he sucks as a woo because look, anytime something happened to Pi, he wasn't there.
Some bodyguard, right?
He wasn't there, and he started wound up, and every fucking time he had to run to her, drive to her, run downstairs. Dude, you guys were in the temple at the same time. Y'all
Yeah.
leave to go up to a helicopter, and then you realize she's not there. And so, but he is running back. Like, exactly how long? When did you lose her? And why didn't you realize so long ago that she wasn't there?
Not to mention the fact that it's been established pretty early on that their souls are tied, meaning if she dies, he dies. So his whole purpose for living should be to be her meat shield. And yeah, he's really just never quite grabs onto that. And considering that he falls in love with Pi hard, fast, for some reason, especially if you're watching the English dub, he's still, you're like, okay. Yeah, really bad meat shield. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there, but you know, he does eventually become pretty cool. Like he gets some pretty dope skills on that. But I did find out, I was digging around doing research for this episode, and I did find out something about Benares, the Wu, is that apparently he was a dragon of some kind before becoming a Wu. So he was like this mega powerful life form, and then he became a Wu, and he was able to change his body into a human form, hence the red eyes and shit, I guess.
So he's a dragon woo.
Oh.
Right. So he was another creature entirely, which kind of like gives into this narrative of the stronger the life form, the more powerful the woo, you know? But boy, wouldn't it have been great if they put that in this series? Wouldn't it have been great if we knew that? Like,
You mean it'd be great if they were to continue the series or relaunch it? Yes.
it would have been a useful tidbit, is all I'm saying. Because Benares versus Yakumo was like Pee Wee League football versus terrible Terry Tate. It's just
Nah, it
not.
was
Yeah, it didn't work
like
out.
I don't
And
like. I really don't. I don't really know the whole purpose of that final fight.
You talk about episode 7, right? End of the series
Episode 7.
entirely. So, Lynette and I watched it in both languages. And in the English language, they write it that Benares is saying, screw you, Cayenne Wang, I'm going to run the show. But I don't feel like they really established that narrative in the Japanese one. The Japanese one, he's very faithful to Cayenne Wang and is working towards bringing him back.
yes, that's what I got too.
Yeah, they kind of decided to shift things around a little. And I feel like they made a lot of scriptural changes to the English dub, mostly to create closure. Like they knew we're not getting another season. We got to like finish this up.
So
So
that goes into a conversation of translation versus localization.
let's have that conversation, because I feel like if any show is worthy of this, it's going to be this one.
Why does McDonald have an Australian accent?
Oh my God! Why does McDonald have an Australian accent?
that was the
Why?
one thing I couldn't get. I was like,
Why? And it's and
what?
oh man, whoever did the voice acting, good on you for being so brave, so brave.
Mhm.
But man, why did they
The
give
sub
him
I
an
got it.
Australian?
I was like, oh, okay.
Oh
Okay.
man, that was so rough. I appreciate it. So let me backtrack a little. When we first watched this in 1992, we had Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And it took me months, maybe even years, to find Volume 4. So we never had any kind of conclusion to this. Much with many anime from that era, you were lucky if you ever finished it. And there are many that I still probably haven't. But this one was one that it took us a while to get to episode 4. And then we thought we were done. We're like, okay, well, that was kind of a weird epilogue. Pies blew up. I don't know.
Surprise!
Whatever. And then it's like during COVID, I found out there were 3 more. And I'm like, how the did that fall under my radar? There's 3 more of these? So immediately went through the trouble of obtaining
You
them.
really, you really got to tell them exactly. Say that again. We first saw this in 1992.
Yes.
Say by 1994, 95,
We finished it.
We had finished
saw it.
Yeah.
the first 4.
Yeah. Because it had taken a long time to find that 4th episode. Man, I'd been to every anime shop up and down, the Florida seaboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the people in the back, the man said he didn't realize there were 3 more episodes until COVID. That means we had a black president.
We had like 3 wars.
Yeah, a couple of wars. 9/11 happened. I mean, so much happened, and then he found out.
Yeah.
He means he had he had Google. He could have asked Jeeves, is there more than 3x3 eyes? No. He found out in COVID.
Did he pull out an Ask Jeeves?
He did. He bust out Ask Jeeves.
He did.
I think if anything, this admission of mine speaks to the series. Obviously, as much as I did enjoy it, it didn't have some kind of indelible effect on me. Like, it's not something that I revere and revisit like I do, say, Street Fighter or Super Dimension Fortress Macross. This is something that I found entertaining, but I never felt like I needed to revisit that world.
You know why?
And I still feel that way.
No, I know why.
Why?
I hated it then, and I was reminded how much I hate it now.
But Brian, how do you feel? Yeah, I don't know, man. It was.
I imagine there was a part of me that when we were watching this, and I may have been too quiet, but I imagine I was looking at you two and saying, "What the did we do here?"
Well, Brian, that's your opinion, and you're allowed to be wrong.
Huh?
I don't. Did you? So, Vic, are you saying that you still like it and whatnot?
I'm mixed on it. Unlike some of you guys, I had to rewatch it because I don't. I remember I saw it with you guys in the '90s,
Sure. Right.
but at the time, I honestly I could not remember a single moment. All I remembered was, the actual artwork for the cover for one of the
What
VHSs.
he's what you're saying is he didn't remember it. I'm saying he blacked it out.
No, because
That's what
here's the
I'm
thing:
hearing.
story-wise, I think the story. I actually like the overall story,
Right.
but the animation and the pacing is definitely an element of its time, and it's like episode one could have been sprawled out to a 2-hour movie, and it probably would have made more sense. It's like within that 27-minute timeline, they shoved in so much information, and they're in Japan, and then 10 seconds later they're in Hong Kong, and it's like, this is a kid in high school working at a cross-dressing bar, and he, complaining about money, and the next thing you know, he's got the money to fly him and Pi to China. It's like,
To China,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just
let's talk about that.
so much information just missing.
Exactly. How did he get the money? How
Right.
much work did he do? He
Yeah.
What kind of work did he do?
So yeah, and I mean maybe that's like I said in my intro, right? This was 5 volumes of the manga brought into these 7 episodes. Now, anybody who's ever read a manga knows those babies about half an inch thick usually. It's a lot of content. So 5 of those, and they tried, they squeezed it into these smaller half hour. I mean, the last 3 were what, 45, 50-minute episodes. So,
Yeah.
it's roughly
Was it
the same.
2, 3, 4, about 5 hours worth?
Right. So that's a lot. That's a lot of content to try and squeeze into the time frame given. But I mean, it's not that the world. I support your comment on this, Vic. It's not that the world wasn't interesting. I felt like the
Yeah,
concept of the occult and the 3-eyed Sanjian characters, like all of that was an interesting concept. But yeah, I don't feel like they stuck the landing on this one so much.
I feel like they got lost. Like you're watching Pi be trying to become a person.
yeah, they try to cherry pick the best stuff that they
Yeah.
want, and it just doesn't cohesively go together.
It feels like they were walking around with their eyes closed.
Or just one eye open.
So, and digging into research for the episode, and this might come as no surprise to anybody, a lot of this is inspired by Hindu mythology,
Right?
right? So the character of Cayenne Wang has an alternate personality called Shiva, very famous Hindu mythology character, and the Sanjian character has a name. It's worth noting that in the English dub, it's not the same name because reasons. So in the English dub, they called her Pearl, and you don't find that out until the last episode. And I mean, it's the same for the Japanese one, but in the Japanese one, she has a name of a Hindu god, Parvati the Fourth, which is
Mhm.
a character from Hindu mythology as well. So clearly, they were leaning into that. I feel like God, I really wish that I would have been able to spend more time unboxing that because there's a lot of really great stories that lean into mythologies and religions and stuff as storylines. And man, it really could have been this great thing. And what I found interesting, some of the stuff that would have been really cool to play with here was the multiple personality, right? The schizophrenia of it all. Parvati the Fourth and Pi and Shiva and Cayenne Wang, right? Because like Cayenne Wang was the third eye character, the evil version, and then Shiva was the nice form, his Pi, as it were. And Shiva and Parvati were supposed to be married, which boy, that was a fun plot twist this whole time. You're like, oh, he's trying to kill his bride. Cool.
Make the sandwich next time. I don't know.
So the good version of the villain was in love with the version of the heroine. Because let's be honest, Parvati, the Sanjian, she's kind of this whole series.
He really didn't care. That was
Like,
Yeah.
no given.
It was like, how do you feel? Bleh.
Yeah.
I don't care.
It's like they live, they die. Who cares? It's not on her.
I got better things to do.
She doesn't grow as a character at all. And then at the very end, the very last scene, suddenly she's got this like little twist in her personality.
Whimsical.
Right. And I'm like, no.
You can't be nice.
No, you don't
You
get to be.
can't be nice.
Yeah, you don't get to be nice.
Yeah, no, they need to build that up in a whole other 12-episode series.
So, all right, I just want to make sure. At the end, they split bodies, right?
Very good. This brings up a few points, Brian. Thank you. One, this plot was convoluted as.
Okay, so I wasn't the only one confused.
It's more convoluted because of the dub. Like they were trying to clear this up in the dub and trying to dumb it down for us idiotic Westerners. But I almost feel like it made it worse. So in the Japanese release, there's a third character in the personality situation of Pi.
Snake.
Yeah, when you start episode 5, you meet Pi in the English dub. In the Japanese dub, that character is Pabo. Pabo is a completely other personality. And what she is the demon who possessed her, right? And you don't find that out until episode 7.
Yeah, to the very end.
Yeah, till the very end. So Hoashio is the snake demon that Benares, the Wu, says, you need to take over this body and wipe her mind or whatever.
And put her power into the temple and
There you
all
go.
that other stuff.
Right. So then the snake like does the thing, and then the personalities all get kind of merged, but they are all amnesiac as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm talking about. This gets a little confusing. So the first 2 episodes of the second season, or episodes 5 and 6, Pabo is the snake demon with amnesia.
With the diamond head.
With the
That's
diamond
the
head,
only way
yeah.
I could figure it out.
Right.
She's just got the diamond head.
Right. So then when Pi awakens in that second or third episode and she's bat crazy, or the Sanjian awakens, she's bat crazy, it's because she has amnesia too. She doesn't know who she is. She's just crazy. Which wasn't really a hard turn for her character. So then you don't really get to see Pi like at all in the second season. Because there's just the snake merged Pi named Pabo and Parvati or Sanjian.
You see Pi like in the epilogue, right?
Yeah, but do
When-
you? Because the way I interpreted this, but we're spending a lot of time on this, folks. I'm sorry. The way I interpreted this was they Huasho, the snake, gave up its life to save Pi for Yakumo because the snake fell in love with Yakumo.
Yes. Yeah, because the snake cried when it died.
The snake cried when it died.
Did the snake kill Biwu?
The snake did not. No, that was the awoken. Or am I wrong? See, does it matter? Does it matter? The fact that we have to think about this is really frustrating here.
So basically, we're saying that Biwu could possibly still be alive.
Oh, no, Biwu's straight up still. I mean, I would imagine the manga ain't going to kill a villain as awesome as Benares was.
And no, I think Benares is just down for a minute.
Yeah.
So Benares is down for a minute.
Kai Wang still
Yeah.
ain't coming back.
Yakumo is still a woo. Yakumo
Yeah.
is still a woo.
Yakumo's still a woo.
But by the very end, Hoasho, the snake demon, gets a Pi body.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, snake demon. You get a Pi body. And Sanjian is still
A dessert.
Pi, I think. And she dips on her floating crab.
So Yakumo is not going to be with Pi. Yakumo is going to be with the snake.
Right. That's
Yes, and that's what I got.
what
Yeah.
I got out of it too. Like, so that's it. Like he's like, well, I guess I'm done with the 3-eyed. I'm gonna go after the snake demon.
Yeah, because Parvati ends it with your pie is in Tokyo.
Right. Yeah, as if to say, this ain't the pie, it's your pie. And I put her in Tokyo. Like I gave her a body. And I put her in
Right.
Tokyo back with her possessed family. No dolls this time. You're good.
Yeah, right. That's how it ended, and I'm like, is the snake dead?
So basically,
Did they become a human?
episode 5 is when he finds her, and
It's not her.
ridiculously how into the first.
Okay. Yes.
He's
Now.
looking like a homeless guy and sees a magazine. And oh my gosh, there's somebody who looks like Pie. Because by this time, she has black hair now, not the brown hair.
Right.
And she's a model.
Yeah, an underage model in a smut rag. So yeah, that's just piles on the criticisms here. Now in the English version that you watched, Brian, they tried to clear up that confusion. So I give them a little bit of credit here. The English version ends with the Sanjian and Pai separating. Pai is now human and growing up with her Japanese death doll family, and the Sanjian's leaving. She's out. But he's still a Wu, which sucks for him. But he does get to have human Pai. So Pai's journey ends in the streamlined dub. And it's the only dub where she gets a happy ending. The sacrifice is the snake had no personality at all and was just a foil.
It was just a diamond. That's all it was.
Right, so then the tear from the snake was totally pointless at the end of that particular version of the story.
So
I like the subversion.
Yeah.
It was good. It explained.
So basically, they I felt like they pulled in so many different things into this one, or I could see how other people did it. Like I felt like the diamond was from Raven and Teen Titans. I felt like the whole Pie kiss, Yakumo kissing Pie. Saw that episode in Shrek. I mean, it was.
Honestly, the series just doesn't do a great job explaining the rules of its world.
Which is phenomenal because they spend so much time talking.
And I really wish that they did. I feel like they had an opportunity here to really make a franchise out of this. They could have. And so when I originally watched this in the 90s, I thought it was me. Right? When I watched this, I thought, okay, well, I clearly just don't understand the lore or the mythology or whatever it is they're basing this off of. Clearly, these concepts of Wu and Sanjian and stuff must be tied to some known storytelling thing that happens over there in the East. Obviously, it didn't. But I was an ignorant young teenager, so what the hell did I know?
Apparently, we're ignorant adults. We still.
Yeah. It really was just, and it's a shame because again, there are things about this that I genuinely loved.
Name 3.
I hope for a reboot.
A reboot would be fun.
They can do a reboot of it.
Yeah, with proper pacing.
I loved the concept of a Wu, the undead flesh shield. I thought that was tight. That was a really neat thing. I think that Pai is a judge of what needs to be a Wu. I'd have picked some dragon thing like whatever the hell Cayenne Wang got. I would have had a Wu with me.
She could have used Takayumi.
Right? Now questions about the Wu thing that came up. Again, this is all world, but why couldn't she have made Takuhi her Wu? That would have been a tight Wu. And can a Sanjian become a Wu? Because if there was a whole war and you had a ton of three-eyed motherfuckers dying, seems like it might have been a good opportunity to steal one of their souls and have a three-eyed Wu.
Yeah.
So,
very good questions. I'm pretty sure I probably answered in the manga that we'll never read.
Probably not. Because I don't think I have the strength for it.
So, you know how you watch Naruto, right? And the entire time you're watching Naruto, you're waiting for Madara to show up, right? When Madara finally shows up,
then you're still 56 episodes of filler in a row?
Oh, yeah. But if Madara ever shows up, it's about to be on. Guess what? Madara finally shows up, and you realize he lives up to the damn hype.
Sure.
Right? You wait for these things to happen, and they talk about how bad this guy is, or how feared, or how evil, or how powerful this person is.
Mm-hmm.
But they at least give you a chance to see it. None of that happened in 3x3 Eyes.
Right. Your biggest negative here is that Cayenne Wang was never an actual threat.
Right. We don't know how he was going to be resurrected because guess what? The 3-headed statue, don't see that again.
Yeah.
The pot is only used one time.
Yeah, the Ningen Nozo, the 3 demon statue, is supposed to make her human, basically useless by the end of the first season.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the tea kettle from hell was just used to get them to the Negaverse. I don't know, wherever it was they went. I'm gonna call it the upside
Home for
down.
infinite losers.
They went to the upside down. Yeah, you're right. The artifacts, the whole hunt, the whole Indiana Jones of it all is that we have to go find this artifact and we have to go to Tibet and we have to do none of that really mattered or in the end.
Like seriously, you were asking why was Home Dude Australian? What was his point?
You are right. Short of bleeding on the teapot, what was the point of Kevin McDonald?
Like he cut himself. He drained a lot of blood.
Like half a gallon of blood on that thing. Like he wanted to make sure that shit turned on.
And he was still doing jumping jacks by the end of it too.
Right?
So.
Yeah. And then at the end of it they show him with like his jeweled belt, like talking, like showing up to the monk to taunt, like he got his due. Like nobody cares. Nobody cares that Kevin McDonald got paid. Nobody cares.
We're still trying to figure out what happened to Pie.
Right? Like yeah, we didn't. What was the snake about? Like what? Nobody cares that Kevin McDonald got money. No. Why is he in this?
So first, Yakumo's like, I'm going to protect you. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And he runs up there, gets his look, gets sitting right back down. Next thing you know, somebody's tapping Pie on the shoulder. It's Kevin, who doesn't have any more bullets, but pulls out the littlest gun.
He pulls out the noisy cricket.
not the little bird from Men in Black. Not that big. No. The most little gun with one bullet, and he runs up. And mind you, he's not a woo.
Not a woo. Just an annoying Australian character in the English dub.
And he gets waylaid.
Oh yeah.
Just to have the little kid. I didn't.
We didn't even talk about her this whole episode.
I was waiting. Come to find out that little kid is the big.
Yeah, that's right.
Did y'all know that?
Ginger Goro.
Did y'all see when she transformed down?
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
I fell asleep.
No.
That's
They don't show Goro like transform into the girl. She just shows up and you look at her and you go, well, obviously this is the big forearm demon because is a red-headed elf.
Yep, and then it springs up.
No.
Yeah, they didn't hide that in any way, and I don't think they were trying to.
But the part that I couldn't get with Yakumo is he's climbing a building and he's like, I have no superpowers, I can't do anything. And then he falls backwards and pulls a Van Damme against the wall, like full split, holding his entire body.
He manages to save himself hanging upside down with a split. And what happened to his shoes at that time? He pulls a Bruce Willis and he's over here, climbing through buildings, barefoot.
Not a Bruce Willis. He pulled a Ryu. He's Japanese.
Although I will say I really liked his ability. I don't know where I wish there would have been an episode or two to explain where he found it, but the ability to summon the toe chow, the crab demon thing
does not work ever.
And
well, that is true. But he did summon a big ball of light to blow the guy's head off, and I was like, why didn't you use that in the beginning?
Right? You've been calling that little crab to fight your fights for you, and
you could have just gone. Boom.
That crab would have been pissed by this time. Like I was like, it's the first summoning jutsu I've ever seen in my life, and it sucks.
Do you know what that is? This is what that is. This is Yakumo reached level 3 in his RPG, and he found his first spell. And so he's spamming his one and only spell. It's the only one he's got. He hasn't gotten to Benares level 60 level. No, he's level 3. He's got his first spell. He's just go spam that because that's all he's got.
Let me ask another thing that would have been cool. So his bracers that he gets in episode 3, right?
Yeah. Episode 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does it matter? Yes.
I can't count. I lost one to live. The bracers that he has, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do they do other
They
than just they didn't protect his arm not one time?
they did actually. They stopped the wooden naked lady from kicking him one time. One
I
time.
think it stopped a sword or a little
Yeah.
pointy, sharp object.
Yeah, when he was fighting that Wang Chung looking motherfucker, I think he blocked a few attacks. I forgot his name because he didn't matter because he was another character just showed up and we were supposed to be threatened by him. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, this story had a lot of potential and a lot of misfires. Truly.
Oh, misfires.
That's still there was. I mean, like I said, a lot of interesting things as a concept. It was very cool. I liked Mei Shin, the bob cut girl from the first season. Like she almost got gutted by the demon in episode 3. Like she was a sweet character. I thought she deserved some happiness, and then she got her shadow taken over by a monster and shit in episode 4. And I'm like, this poor girl, she didn't get a break.
Nope.
But that's all of Yakumo's friends, right? Natsuko with the tentacles under her skin and bleeding more than any human should ever bleed, and then Mei Shin like straight up getting to get gutted, and then like nobody gets any. They all his friends are never be Yakumo's friend.
Nope.
Yeah.
So we gotta wind down. We've about this for almost an hour, and I feel like we really need to try and wind this down. So I'll wind down with a question for everyone. And we'll start with you, Vic, because you haven't had a lot of screen time in this episode. What was your scariest monster? I already know Brian's answer.
Okay, so because some of us have real jobs and have to work and things happen, I didn't get to finish rewatching, and it's been so long since the original watching that I barely remembered any of it.
Yeah.
So I'm literally only about the halfway point.
Okay.
So it would have to be the weird, creepy-eyed thing from episode 2.
The frog dude?
Yeah,
That's what I
the
call him. I
whole
don't know his
tentacle
name, but
thing and everything.
sure.
It was like,
I'm a piggyback on that. That demon still scares the shit out of me because I don't know, something about under the skin and all that. Ugh, that's nasty. Lynette, I'm gonna save Brian for last. Lynette, who's your scariest monster?
Anything about dolls. So that whole episode just creeped me out. I just whole thing. I was like, okay, get through it. But I would say
Yeah,
like the doll lady, the real doll killer,
the real doll.
the real doll
Real
killer.
doll assassin. All right, Brian, who's your scariest monster?
Wooden Kamato.
now Brian thought that up like last week, and he's just been holding on to it for this very moment.
No. I look. I called Rick. As soon as I started watching it, because again, I'm the one that loves hentai. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. She said, potential of, and the first we see is the one nip I don't ever want to see again. And as we sit here and think about it, how do you get the fleshy part on the wood?
I agree. I don't know.
Lots and lots of soft glue.
It's not like it feels like it's flush. It doesn't feel like it's sitting on top of it.
Oh, wait, how do you know what it feels like?
I mean, it seems like it's from looking at it. There's no texture.
Yeah, there's no. It's not like it's stuck on with super glue or something.
Right. Or raised.
How? So, all right. This begs the final question we ask of every one of these when we revisit them. Did it age well? Did it age well, Brian? Come on. Did it age well?
Hell no. Hell no. Give me my Indian. I like my Indiana Jones with a whip and a fedora. I don't like what we just got.
So it's a solid maybe. Got it. All right. Lynette, was this the first time you'd ever seen 3x3 Eyes?
Yes. I have to say that I was tricked by the cover art. I thought it was
Right?
going to be a little bit different because I told you, I was like, picked it just by how cool it looked. And I was like, oh, I'm excited. And then I was like, now I know why it was from the 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was enjoyable.
This is telling is that when I found out about the next 3 episodes, after how many years of not knowing they existed during COVID, sat down to watch it, and my old ass fell asleep the first time I tried to watch them.
Oh, thank you.
So that explains. I mean that.
Oh my gosh.
So if after
could've said-
20
we could've-
plus years, it wasn't compelling enough for me to stay awake.
Me too. Dude, that's why I didn't realize that little child girl.
Yeah,
I fell asleep.
because you just were. Yeah, no, I hear you. It was not for me either. And I wanted to like this. I really did. I was excited to come back to it. But yeah, I was not.
There's a part where Yakumo is talking to Kevin, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking about maybe I don't want her to get her memory back and stuff like that. And
Right.
he's still talking to her, right?
Mhm.
I fell asleep then. Did not stop the video or nothing. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, he was still talking. And I was like, man, you. I'm like,
What you don't realize is that your
fine.
wife actually paused it right after you went to sleep and then unpaused it right before you woke up.
Then unpause it and kick
He's
him.
on my side, dude. You will never turn angel against me. You're on my side.
So Vic, you're gonna close us out with this. What are your final thoughts on this? Did it age well?
Okay, so animation-wise, pacing-wise, it did not, unfortunately. The story has so much potential, and it definitely is in need of a reboot to properly flesh out the story. It was just, like I mentioned, the first episode was like 2 hours worth of story shoved into 30 minutes. And the pacing was just off. Some parts dragged on way too long than they needed to be. Other parts were just super, super fast. Animation quality was hit and miss. Like, environmental destruction was like animated beautifully. People,
Sure.
not so much.
Yeah.
Like in episode 2, when the bridge collapsed, it's like that was fluidly animated.
Oh yeah.
But then someone's running or someone's talking, or people animation was just mediocre at best. And it's definitely a product of the late 80s, early 90s, but it had so much to give, and it just dropped the ball.
Yeah. Couldn't deliver on the promise that the cover art gave us all.
Do you have a title for this episode?
No, because none of our episodes have titles. They're just what we're talking about. So this is just 3x3, 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 3v3, whatever the we're calling it.
Three eyes.
Right. It's just that, man. You want to give it a title? Give it a subtitle. I'll put it in the description for you.
Subtitle?
Sure.
It's probably better to draw anime with your eyes open.
3x3 eyes. Read the manga.
Right. All right, folks. Well, that's going to be our show for today. Vic, where do we go to get a hold of your Ningen Nozo?
My Ningen Nozo is private. I couldn't keep a straight face saying that either. As always, unfortunately, why can I never remember my freaking Twitter? So as always, it's at kaiju _GRTTO. That's kaiju KAIJU _GEEK GRTTO.
I think this is time for you to change your Twitter handle is what I think it is. No, you know why? It's not, because it's Brian's turn. Brian, how do people send you pics of their Cayenne Wang?
Brian likes a good wang.
You can send it to kaiju KAIJU _Greek grotto, and that is geek. That's GEEK GROTTO. You bastard.
So, as everyone knows, it's where you send asking if Brian's actually watched Akira, which again he hasn't finished it. So,
As of
but
this
send it to
taping,
him and not me.
you'll find his connections in the show notes.
If you want to connect with me, yes, but you send me your Cayenne Wang. Kaiju _Greek grotto.
Who
So,
Muppet's going to be offended about this?
Hey, I'm lonely.
in lieu of social media, Lynette has merged with a snake demon in his new being called Lenope. So until next time, everyone, keep calm, and in the name of Yakumo Fuji, summon Tochao!
You've just been privy to the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd, presented by Geek Grotto. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Geek Grotto.
For show notes and corrections or for general geeky fun, you can visit our website at geek-grotto.com. If you would like to sponsor the show, you can do so on the podcast's Red Circle host site, redcircle.com/shows/MMMAN. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, please like, follow, and subscribe.